Welcome to the Creating Success Out of Failure podcast. Thank you for joining us. Our mission, our vision is to help salespeople and entrepreneurs get through the misinformation that's out there. We want to talk about everyone's trials and tribulations because you know what? We all know at the end of the day, success is not a linear straight line. You're going to get knocked down. You're going to get beaten down. But how do you get up? How do you overcome that? That's what we're going to be going over on these podcasts. So thank you for joining us and enjoy the podcast.
Yeah, so
Everybody, welcome to Creating Success Out of Failure. We have Kale Goodman and Trevor Crowley, along with my co-host Evan. Welcome. One of the things we're going to start doing is that people who leave 5-star reviews, we're either going to shout you guys out and the business you guys operate in, or if you're in sales, we'll give you guys a shout out, or I will reach out to you and find a way to do something for you, whether it's a 15 or 30-minute consultation, something along those lines. And I'm sure my guests would, maybe some of my guests can do that as well. But I want to give back to the people that are helping us reach more people and impact more people. So let's just start off, Kale, Trevor, tell us a little bit about you guys and what you guys do so everybody knows. And then I'll start asking some difficult questions.
Right. Well, first of all, thanks for having us on, bro.
Yeah, absolutely.
We obviously know you from networking and being a part of events and things like that, dude. And we know you're a solid dude and operate an awesome business. So it's a pleasure to be on the show, man.
Absolutely.
So,
thanks for coming on.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I don't know, man. To tell a little bit about us, we own Easier Accounting. We also own some other companies as well. Some cool projects that we got going, and man, we're just entrepreneurs, man. I don't even know what to say. Like we both come from sales. We actually worked together clear back in 2002. I started sales in 2001. Trev came on the company I worked at the next year. We've always just had a cool friendship. And then we went our different ways. And then I ended up starting my own company after working for a tax and accounting company for a few years. And he went to work up in Salt Lake. And somehow we just came back together, man. He ended up coming to work for me as a sales guy with my company. And then, dude, he's just always been a phenomenal asset, bro. It got to the point where it was like, bro, we need to do our stuff together. And that's kind of what's gotten us here today, man, is we've had a great partnership, and we think a lot alike, and we also think different areas that also bring some strengths to the table. And we've got a lot of the same core beliefs too, man. So, being a part of like Arate with you and learning how to go deeper on our core beliefs, and him and I are all on the same page of that, and then bringing that to our employees. Absolutely. We've seen a lot of growth just from that alone, lately. So just in the last year.
So one of the things I really liked about what you guys did, Kale and Trevor, is you guys kind of created Easier Accounting sort of like the same way I came up with Sprout. And what I mean by that is we were both in the industry. We saw a huge need that wasn't being filled for our clients, and then we corrected it.
Yeah.
So talk to me a little bit about how you guys came up with that, and a little bit about the model.
Yeah, man. Well, I sold at I sold accounting services at a company for years before we started our own accounting firm, and I had an accounting firm with other partners from 2008 till probably 2012 when I brought it over. Kind of parted ways from those guys. Yeah. And it was all about selling and then just delivering the service. It wasn't like deliver the service the best you possibly can, blow the customer's mind, like actually do things that entrepreneurs need. And that was when I partnered up with Trevor on everything. I was like, dude, we're gonna bring the accounting firm over. The guys want to work for me. They want to get away from my old partners. We saw that disconnect. One, business owners hate dealing with accounting. So and accounting firms, like, they just only want to work during their busy time of the year. The whole model is broke. It still is, man. The traditional accounting model is like, bring everything you can to your accountant at the tax time and hope that he does the best for you, right? And you're not a tax expert, so you're just bringing him what you know, which is a very small fraction of the tax code that you can even come close to understanding. Yeah. And then everybody's losing, right? Except the IRS, they're winning. The government winning, the overpayments. And so we were like, dude, we're entrepreneurs, dude. And we went through horrible bookkeepers in our own business. We went through horrible
we went through an audit.
CPAs.
We went through an audit
Yeah,
because
she
of
got
a
us
bad
audited
bookkeeper.
because of some dumb, stupid stuff that shouldn't have happened. And we realized, dude, it's just lack of communication. So I'm like, let's create our delivery systems to be like, people cannot slip through the cracks. And we're not perfect, man. Guess what? As hard as we have worked on it, like people have still slipped through the cracks. And there's accountability on the customer side. There's accountability on our side. But we continue to work really hard at just like solving that problem so that people get the attention, the communication, and the strategy and the planning that they need all year long, so that they don't overpay. They keep what's theirs.
Yeah,
so
don't you feel like that's a reason why you guys are at where you're at, though? I mean, I mean, there's a big thing I was talking about with one of my outside advisors is, the difference between people that are self-aware and that aren't self-aware, right? The people that are self-aware, they might be highly critical of themselves, but they're critical of themselves with the intent to improve. And without that critical skill, you're never going to reach the heights that you could have or that you are striving for all the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And dude, we're constantly just doubling down on our fulfillment. And I get asked this question all the time, dude. I actually recently got asked this question by a kid just on LinkedIn. And I was like, whatever, I'm going to go ahead and respond. It was like, if you could do anything over, you've been in business 15 years, what would you do different? And I'm like, well, I don't regret anything because, I've learned a lot along the ways. But at the same time, if I could do something over, I would go back and I would double down on my fulfillment, my processes, and 100% giving more and more and more value to our customers because, it's a slower start, but I think I'd be 5 times further than where I am right now versus where I started. I started by just being a really good sales guy, grab cash, sell, hope the customer gets a great product, don't really care because I just sold it. I made my money, right, for the company. And that's how a lot of companies start because it's all about gathering that revenue. And so that is the one thing I think that if I could go back and do over, I would be like, dude, I would create that value in the customer, the delivery, the product to just blow people's mind, the best experience possible, because I think that would compound into way more growth after year 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 versus grab cash model, so.
I think that's huge. And a lot of people fail to understand that. I will tell you personally, and I've never said this on the podcast, but this is the fucking truth, is I did the same thing with Sprout and Capital Gains.
Yeah.
Right. I ran it. I had at one point 40, 50 outside guys.
Yeah.
Broke it. Saw where it was broken. Redid it. Broke it again. Saw where it was broken. Redid it. I have not pushed Capital Gains. We haven't talked about it in, I want to say 5 or 6 months because we're having a new rollout because everything right now is really, really strong. We're bringing on a very key piece to so I can almost fire myself.
Yeah.
Right. So they can handle the training, the outside team. Cause right now he's running the biggest, I can't say too much, but right now he's running the biggest sales floor in the industry. And he's going to come on and basically be director of sales or VP of sales. We don't know yet, but it really doesn't matter. And we did that with the intent of, hey, you're going to go 3 steps forward, 2 back, plan, see where you were broken, and then go forward. Right.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the same thing that we've done. And I wish I had this set up, like you just said, years ago. Right. But it's trial and error. You got to learn and you learn, you keep going.
And of course, it's tough. I was going to say it's tough for those entrepreneurs when they're first starting out to look so far ahead, especially when it's like maybe you quit your corporate job or something and you're diving into entrepreneurship and it's like, I got to make the money. So like the lights stay on and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. But it's like, if you make it through that time with providing that value, then it sounds like, you're going to get that return.
Totally.
Which is fine because you've got to keep the lights on. I think the problem with that is even when the lights are on and you're good, the mentality stays the same where you just sell, and you get into such a rhythm where you start making good money. Now that you're making good money, you don't think anything's broke or anything needs to change until it absolutely breaks. And then once it breaks, now you've got to start from ground zero again and rebuild back up. But you realize why it broke, and then your company ends up being stronger because of a break, right? And so the reality is what Kel's saying is, you've got to keep cash close to heart, but don't forget that back end and that fulfillment. Like, yes, sell at first and get revenue coming in. But as your sales process is getting dialed in, you're not done building your company yet. Turn to the fulfillment side and put that thing on steroids and get that thing so strong. The support needs to be there for the customers. Half of customer support is having somebody pick up the phone when somebody calls and they get to hear another human being. And as long as every time they call and there's somebody there for them, they're going to be happy because now they feel comfortable and confident in who they made the purchase with. But at that point, like Kel said, 5, 6, 7 years down the road, your referrals are going through the roof. You're just doing the little things that aren't ordinary with inside of your industry. It doesn't have to be the big things. It could be just little teeny things that make a world of difference. And so, yeah, start bringing in revenue. But once your revenue is somewhat okay and your sales are going good, beef up the fulfillment, because that will make or break your business long term.
Yeah, 100%. I think the way to do that, right? A lot of people, you need to take a step back, right? It's working in the business versus working on the business. Mm-hmm. And the way to do that, I mean, you need quarterly goals, monthly goals, and you have to, again, it's not just being self-aware. You have to be self-aware for your business and see exactly what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, and work on those the entire time. You know, how I break it down to my team, macro level things and micro level things. The micro things are going to get you paid this week or this month. The macro things that you set up, like content creation, like copy, anything like that you can put out there and you can do on the weekend, not in that 9 to 6 period. If you can just stack those big wins, it makes it like you're building a machine that is going to allow you to service people better, allow you to get in front of people better, and ultimately just be better, right? So I think that has a lot to do with running a really successful business.
That's smart, man. That's smart. We do our podcasts and stuff during the week, and but dude, I mean, we could even be better even at probably like breaking things down to a micro and a macro within our company. We're working on it right now. But I think a lot of it too is just like that maturity, you know, like some people mature faster than others, but the sooner people, and I don't know how like the demographic of your audience, but there's a lot of young entrepreneurs like us listening, and even younger than us. It's like the sooner you figure this stuff out, the way further you're going to be, man, because, you know, like right now, like a lot of young guys, they do exactly what we did. It was all about just sell and grab that cash model. And the sooner they figure out that, like, dude, the real value is in the actual quality delivery and the processes and the macros and micros, and they figure that out, the sooner they figure out, the better off they're going to be down the road.
So. I think part of the problem is when you go from being a sales guy, guys don't or girl or whatever. They are so looking at that week, that day. I need to make that commission. I need to make that sell. So as a sales rep, I don't say, where do I want to be in 6 months? I'm focused on today and getting deals done. I'm worried about the next check. And so you're only looking at such a small part of it as a sales rep, because the company you're working for should do the rest, all the fulfillment, and you should just be focusing on the sales, right? And so when you go from a salesperson to a business owner, it's a completely different world. You can't look at just the next paycheck. You have to look at next year, the following year, and make your decisions off of long-term goals that you have and lay the foundation so that when 1 year, 2 year, 3 years passes, that you're on the right path. And I think that's why the mistake happens is you go from sales worried about this week making money, commission.
And lifestyle too, dude. It's like, it's all about like what I want right now versus what I want later down the road. What am I willing to sacrifice now? When we're younger, dude, when I was in my 20s, I mean, dude, I wish I would have matured faster, dude. I mean, it's all about what other people think and buying the things that you think you want at that time. And dude, you're probably the same boat we're in right now. Like, I don't really care what I'm driving, dude. I'm looking 10 years down the road, and I wish I would have matured in my 20s to where I'm at right now in my mid 30s, because I was a business owner in my mid 20s, you know, and it was, I was that sales guy mentality, you know,
you gotta
lifestyle.
Make the mind shift. You got to make a mind shift from
sales
to
for me. And I touched on this on another on a podcast, so I'm going to do this real quick. Just
what I do is I reward myself with investments, right? Like I just picked up, I'm in contract on 2 investment properties, and I rewarded myself for the first time in a while. I got a boat, and I bought a jacuzzi because my body from, working out and playing hockey in the morning shot. But it's not the end of the world. Now, the next 2 years, it's all about investment, and that's the only thing I'm focused on. I don't care about the car or anything else. And when you're young, it's very, very hard to have that mindset.
Yeah.
That is like the last thing you are thinking about.
When you're young, you care a lot more about what people think. And so you want to impress people when you're younger because you're in the dating scene or you want to impress the girl or whatever. When you start having kids and you start getting a little bit older, you're now like, man, like I want to figure this out for my future so that I'm set up and I can live a good ass life. And when you're young, you don't worry about a good ass life. You worry about a good ass weekend. Like I can't wait to go to Vegas and have a good ass weekend, or whatever it is, right?
Yeah, no, you're right, man. 100%.
Yeah.
And you should reward yourself, man. I mean, especially when your business does hit those levels, dude. You know what I mean? But if you're rewarding yourself with investments, dude, that's smart. But you do got to have some of those things that feed your soul too. Like I loved owning a boat. I don't own one anymore. I sold it, but dude, I loved having a boat, bro. And but I don't really care about Ferraris and.
Yeah, that's more of a family thing though for the boat, because like my kids love the water,
Totally. It's for some guys, Ferraris and all that does feed their soul, and that's what they want to reward themselves in their business. More power to them, dude. Like
absolutely.
In those young ages and the young entrepreneur phases of building that business, you're in those first early growth stages. Like, man, we make so many mistakes buying the shit to impress for the wrong reasons versus reinvesting into the business and making the sacrifices there.
And I think that's a big part of what we get from, like, let's just say the Syndicate, right? Yeah. It's all mindset. We all help each other. Obviously we've partnered together, but we help each other with the challenges that we face day in and day out. And it helps us get past those little road bumps, a lot quicker or a lot sooner, rather than sitting there spending a ton of cash or a lot of man hours trying to figure it out on our own. What would you say? I mean,
the funny thing about entrepreneurship is no matter the industry, it still deals the same struggles and blows, no matter whether it's employee headaches, whether it's, dude, there's, slow times, how do I market or change my marketing to get more leads or more clients? I mean, every industry and every business is very similar and common across the board. And that's why when you go to these entrepreneur groups and these events and you get to rub shoulders with somebody that's maybe a level or two above you, your today problems are their yesterday problems. So they can help you kind of solve them and help you get past, like you said, those speed bumps. Yeah. And it's awesome to have that type of connection with people.
Yeah, man, I love it. So let's talk a little bit about some of the challenges you guys face building what you guys have built, and also how you guys got past it, if you don't mind.
Yeah, no, dude, we've got challenges all the time. We got challenges right now that we know in the long run are going to be for the best for our company.
Yeah.
Dude,
the main challenges in business is about, working with humans, right? Whether that's with clients or employees. And human beings are the most difficult thing to manage, or the most difficult thing to, there's an ebb and flow of showing appreciation, but if you show too much appreciation too quick, it becomes expected, and then entitlement happens. It's this slow song and dance between a company and an employee. If you move too quick and too fast and reward too much too early, entitlement does happen, right? And we are guilty of having too big of hearts and trying to reward awesomeness, and we reward greatly. And it's turned around and bit us in the ass many times, to where we do get somebody to the point where they're making 80 grand a year or 90 grand a year. And then the next year they don't get a $10,000 a year pay raise, but it's now expected because we did it on 1 year, and then it turns around and bites us. Now we look like a bad guy because we gave them such a large raise 1 year, when in reality we did that because they were kicking ass and we felt like they deserved it that year. And it's not like that they didn't kick ass the next year. It's it's not sustainable to give somebody a $10,000 raise every year, because in 10 years they'd be making 170 grand a year.
Yeah.
So, and that's, entrepreneurship money. So if they want to make that type of money, they should go work for themselves. But, dude, there's always struggles in business. Every day is a struggle. That's why entrepreneurs are the best at creating solutions. Whoever can create the solution the fastest gets paid the quickest and gets paid the most. Right. Yeah. And, I think we do a pretty good job of when things, feel like that they're falling apart in some cases. Just staying very level-headed, not hitting the panic button, because we've been in business long enough to know that it's just part of the process. And every time we try to hit new levels and level up, the blows are bigger. The blows are harder, right? The investments that we make are bigger. So if we lose 200,000 rather than 20,000 10 years ago when we would mess around with new business ideas. And so, it's just part of the process. But struggles are there with every single business. The important thing is to, stay level-headed, and realize that 6 months from now, you'll understand why it happened. You won't understand why something happened in the moment. You'll feel confused, hurt, pain, whatever it is. But in most cases, 90% of the time, hindsight ends up being 20/20, and you're like, damn, I'm glad that happened the way that it did, because it just redirected me to something new, something better.
Absolutely.
So,
and a big challenge too is just the accountability on our part as business owners, man. Like, I just recently had to take accountability for a lot of the crap that just went down with us, and we lost a couple great people. And and I didn't do this in the early days, dude. I didn't sit there and think, man, where did I go wrong? Where can I take accountability as the leader of this ship, man? As one of the leaders, like, and we don't figure that out soon enough. And so I'm learning a lot right now, actually. Dude, 15 years in, I'm learning more now than I ever did, because that's what I'm doing. That's my approach now. Like, man, where did I go wrong? Where can I take accountability? Like, not everybody thinks like me, dude. And I was running around this office telling people, like, dude, I'm going to create all these cool opportunities, and we're going to pay more here. And for these tax plans, we're going to give bonuses here. And, and like, dude, not everybody wants that commission lifestyle, wants to be incentivized that way. And then when those increases don't happen as fast as they'd like, then it turns into resentment towards me. And so I'm like, dude, I have to take accountability for that. And so that was actually just a recent thing that happened. And when you talk about challenges that we've had to overcome, man, like, when I look back, I didn't take that kind of accountability back then. I didn't take that approach. And so
that's maturity and being open-minded to trying to extract a lesson from everything. Mm-hmm. When you're young, you think you know it all and you're untouchable and this, that, the other. But then you hit a level where you plateau. Maybe it's a $3 million a year business, and then you do $3 million every single year after year. But that's because you're closed-minded and you think you know it all. When you get to the point where you take accountability and like, man, what could I have done different? Then you can extract the lessons that will take you to new heights. And so
and it's tough, and you got to figure out every situation, like the stuff you're going through right now, dude. It's not a bad thing that you trust, but then maybe you trusted too much, and maybe there were some things that you could have done, to still keep checks and balances, even though you trusted that person. Dude, you know what I mean? Like, that's what you have to do.
1,000%.
It's tough. It's tough to do that, because, dude, it's good that you're a trusting person, I think, but we do have to learn that. We have to figure out that balance and find out where we can take accountability in every situation.
And you got to be careful. You got to be careful about sharing your vision too much. You want to share your vision with the employees, but in some cases, maybe not to the extent where you're like, hey, financially, this vision will produce X, because it as an entrepreneur, nothing goes as planned. No. Right?
No.
So we might have a vision of like, man, we want to do this with our company. We want to that's what we want to do. And we have good intent of doing it, but it just might not go exactly as planned. And we understand that. But when you're sharing a vision with an employee, they might not understand it, because they don't understand that things don't happen the way that you plan it. Right. Yeah. And so, but it's just different mindsets. We're used to things not going exactly as planned. And as an employee, they're expecting things to go exactly as planned. It's just two different mindsets. And so when you're sharing a vision, you can share the vision with them of where you want the company to go, this, that, the other. But if you start sharing, hey, this might produce more money for you, or this, that, the other, if it doesn't go that way as quick as they would like, now you've planted that seed in their mind potentially to where they get negative thoughts if it doesn't happen exactly as they saw it happening. And so share the vision, but be very cautious about, the financial side of the vision that you share with them, because it can create an expectation. If something doesn't go as planned, then maybe now you have an employee down here rather than an employee still up here, mentally.
And that's a big thing to take the temperature on, right? I mean, when you see that, it's very hard because you get wrapped up in the day-to-day, but when you see a shift in behavior, right? A shift in attitude, it can lead to, first off, like performance, but that's really not it could lead to some level of theft. It can lead to creating a toxic culture where we all know, I mean, the three of us know better than anybody, your culture is going to drive you.
Absolutely.
And, when you get a rotten apple or two, it can really mess up what you're trying to build. I'll give you a case in point. I had a few consultants or advisors that became toxic. They were toxic because there was one bad in the bunch. It spoiled. And I had 12 just go off and try and start their own thing, right? Which, hey, you know what? It happens, but what I noticed when they left, right? While I was going through it, it was tough, man. Like, I let these guys stay at my house. They tried to, they basically, I don't want to get into too much detail, but took the program, tried to sign up with, people in my network, tried to take clients. And these are people that I let stay at my house when I was away so they could train in my office instead of getting a hotel. You know what I mean? So that hurt a lot. And what I took out of it was exactly what you guys said. I should have noticed, I should have noticed certain things. I should have had a little bit more control on certain things. But at the end of the day, when they left, first off, it taught me a lesson. Second, the culture was so much better. Okay. And you know what? I thought we were going to have a dip in numbers, man, because of the culture and the people that were there. They were so much happier. Our numbers didn't miss a beat. In fact, they grew.
Yeah.
Crazy.
They grew.
It's weird how it happens, man.
And that's what I was talking about. Inside of certain moments, sometimes you don't understand the why or what's going, you can really get that poor me attitude very easily as an entrepreneur, because there'll be many things that will happen where you can sit there and be like, why is this happening to, and it's just a matter of, again, staying even keel, and then it'll show why it happened. It will show, and usually it just redirects to something better. Same thing in your case, where now you actually enjoy, everybody that works around you or with you. We've done the same thing. We've had people that were very key players with inside of the company that, in some cases we didn't want to lose or wouldn't know what to do if we lost them, but then they started turning negative, and we had no choice but to show them the door, so to speak. And the company's culture just immediately was different. Everybody was happier where they worked, and it's completely true. In a lot of cases, the person that can bring people down may be one of your A players or was an A player. And that's what makes it so difficult, especially if it's a sales rep that puts up a high amount of volume every single week. You're like, I can't afford to lose that. And so you stutter step, what the right thing is to do, but you just don't pull the trigger based on fear of losing, when in reality, by you pulling the trigger, you'll only gain because the environment will be that much better. We've seen it happen multiple times. So,
and that's also, this goes out to a lot of salespeople too. And the takeaway for them, maybe from their side of it, is, as much as it's important for us to stay even keel, it's that much more important for them to stay even keel. You can never think that you are above the team, that you are, you're the captain of the ship, because as soon as you get that mindset, as soon as you have that mentality as a salesperson, right, you're closing your door to learning, and you're closing your door to being coached and taking that next level, because you already think that you're there. I think that's a great thing about our network, is I don't think anyone feels they're there. I think that every time I walk in that room, I am the smallest fish in that room.
We've
and I love it. Did you really?
Yeah, we've told a couple people, we're like, dude, we're probably the poorest motherfuckers in the room. But that means I guess we're in the right room, you know? So,
but that's a good mind, like, right? And this is the first time we're having this conversation, but
yeah.
like that's the right mindset to have, and that's how you get better, and that's how you learn.
Yeah.
You know,
well, if sales guys are listening to this, if that's the majority of where it's geared towards, is one, sales guys do make great entrepreneurs one day, you know, but at the end of the day, if you're a sales rep and there's another guy that's, you know, letting some negativity affect them, and they're going, because salespeople talk to other salespeople, it is what it is, right? And so if there's somebody that's negative, you've got to figure out a way to not let that affect you, and like you said, stay even keel, because one negative thought can lead to another negative thought and another, and then it just grows like a bacteria. And you surround yourself with somebody that's just talking and being negative, it will plant a seed that's in your mind, that
even if you don't know it,
that can grow and that can hurt you. You'll be like, maybe they're onto something. And then right when you say maybe, that's when it's going to start giving it far more power than what it needs. And you have to stay positive every single day, even if you're getting punched in the mouth. That's just sales in general. Don't let anybody else pull you down, because there's plenty of sales reps that have 1 or 2 bad weeks and they wear it, right?
Yep.
You know when somebody's having a bad month or a bad week, because they're going around and it's got to be the leads. It's got to be this. It can't be them. They got to blame everything outside of themselves, rather than taking accountability and saying, what can I do to change my outcome? Can I wake up earlier? Can I get to work maybe refreshed, so I'm awake at 9 o'clock, rather than still wiping eye boogers out my eye at 10:30, not making phone calls because I'm still half asleep, you know, whatever it is. There's a lot of self-analysis that has to happen as an entrepreneur, and should happen as a sales rep, in terms of accountability and what you can do, what you can change for a better result.
Well, I mean, it goes back to what Ed says about the reticulated actus. What, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I can't think of the word, but basically, if you have a negative thought and you don't get rid of that quickly, that's all you're going to see, right? It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? So now you're finding fault with everything, and instead of figuring out what you could do better, you're just taking in all this negativity and essentially multiplying it, only to hurt yourself and the team. And like, this podcast is for salespeople and entrepreneurs, mainly entrepreneurs, but I think they're so intertwined these days.
I know.
And that's why I set it up the way I did. And it's important because, you know, I've noticed it here. I have advisors that have a month, they'll do 25 grand net, 30 grand net. Next month, especially if that was their top or their peak, holy shit, right down the toilet.
Yeah.
You know, then they were like 5 or 10 grand. And I'm like, what happened? And then I just look at the numbers in the chart. They climbing, plummet, right? And that has nothing to do with the outside. That is all an internal shift that they're going through. And as soon as I can pull them out of it, or try and pull them out of it, then they're back on track. But it happens.
I've seen that happen with people that come in and they're trainees. They literally do exactly as you tell them to do, because they know no different, right? And then, you know, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, or 2 months into it, they have a huge week, because they're doing exactly as they were trained, but now they've got it figured out. So they think. So now they start making it their own a little too much, and stepping outside of what ultimately got them there, because now they know everything. They hit 20 grand in a week, or, you know, had a $50,000 month. And then I watch the numbers decline, because once you think that you know it all, and you start adjusting and changing what got you there because you think you know it all, is when the numbers just start dipping. You got to stay to the basics and keep just doing the shit that got you there.
Man, that's so true. And that's so good, you know, and it's so easy, right? Like, it's easy to talk about and speak about in theory, right? It's much harder to practice.
Oh yeah.
So you can tell people all day long, dude, you need to be more self-aware.
Yeah.
It's like, okay. Well, we all probably need to, you know what I mean? But at the same time, like, those are the guys that rise up and become your leaders. And then those are the guys that end up doing their own things and becoming successful. Is the guys that can be self-aware, and they can think, okay, I'm not the leader right now. I'm not ready for that. I'm going to be a great follower with the intent to become a good leader, right? And then from there, then maybe you do want to start your own thing. You've got to be a decent leader, man. You've got to get people to follow you, but you got to be a follower first, and you got to be self-aware of all this stuff and your attitude and how much you take accountability and what type of vibes you're putting out into, and negativity or positivity into the environment. And it does come back a lot to that self-awareness, man. But you can't just tell people to be self-aware. It's
No,
practice.
yeah, I am. I weigh about 180 pounds. I'm like 5'7".
Exactly. Yeah,
I'm pretty aware.
Yeah.
No, they don't get it. But let's talk a little bit about how to do that, right? Because I want actual takeaways. Yeah. Like, I can tell you beyond just our network, right? It's very good to be in some of these groups like Arate, like Apex.
Yeah.
But, I'll tell you some of the things I do. I read every night. I meditate. Yep. Okay. I hit the gym. I try to at least get one nice session in a day, sometimes two if I can fit it in. But what are some of the things you guys do that keep you sharp, that keep you progressing, in the right direction?
I do a lot of the same stuff, man. So I wake up every morning and just do my gratitude first thing, dude. You know what I mean? Like, I actually have trained my brain, and I didn't do this on purpose, but I love it, right? When I go to reach for my phone in the morning, which is the first thing we all do,
everybody,
at some point, it's like it's become a trigger now in my brain. It's like when I reach for that phone, it's like, oh, you got to do your gratitude first. Don't start the day with those distractions. Don't start your days with. There's always some bullshit. Dude, I wake up every morning, whether it's affiliate guys, I've got guys overseas on different time zones reaching out to me, dude. So they're emailing me at 2, 3, 4 in the morning sometimes, and I don't want to wake up and get right to that. I got to do something for me first, and that's been big for me, dude. It's probably been 7, 8 months. I haven't missed a morning, bro, of just that 10 minutes of gratitude and some self-reflection before I start my day, before I start grabbing that phone and getting to it. So. And when I am on a good routine of going to the gym and eating right, dude, that helps a ton. I hate when I get knocked off of it, man. But sometimes we hit a goal or a level, and we're like, cool, I'm going to take a little break, and then it turns into too long of a break. So I try and keep those really short, so because consistency is key, bro.
Yeah, in everything. Sales, entrepreneurship. Yeah. What about you, Trev?
Yeah, I try to go to the gym every single morning. For the most part, I'm there, 5 days a week by 6:30. That's the only time that I get for me, as crazy as entrepreneurship is and having a family and, all that, I have to just get up before the world gets up, so to speak, right? Before everything starts bearing down on you and the phone starts blowing up. So when I'm driving to the gym, it's dark, it's cold, and there's not a lot of cars on the road, and it's just still peaceful in the morning. So that's what I do. I do that. And then, I've been known to take the cold showers just to shock and wake me up. And then I listen to a certain song. That's what I've been doing. We did a little spiritual journey thing like a month and a half ago. It's called like an ayahuasca. And they played a specific song there when we were doing it. And so I play that now on my way into work just to like try to put myself in the most peaceful state that I could possibly be in as I'm going to the most chaotic place that I'll be in. Just to make sure that my mind's right going into the day. I already know the day will bear down on me. There's going to be shit that's going to happen. I just need to make sure that I'm in the right state of mind, because if I come in angry or, spiteful or this or depressed or whatever, I'm not going to be able to accomplish what I need to accomplish that day. So how I start my day definitely matters. On the Real Business Owners Instagram and podcast, we did a little 10-day morning routine challenge. Do these 5 things before you start your day to try to help people. We called it Prime Your Day. Basically, just before 9 or 10 o'clock, you get these things done and you're priming your day for success. Anything after that, I didn't care about, but I'm a big believer in starting your day in a specific way and priming it for a win. So
nice. Do you guys have a wrap-up routine at all?
At the end of the day?
Yep.
I've been trying to read more and more, just like a chapter at night. I'll obviously slip here and there and go 3 or 4 days, maybe a week without reading it. And then I'll go on a streak of reading it for 3 or 4 days. but I haven't been a big avid reader. I've been more, listening to podcasts or gathering information that way. Some people prefer reading, some people prefer listening to stuff, but I've been getting into books a little bit more recently, ever since Kale did his little 75 hard challenge, and saying, man, dude, reading's actually kind of cool. And I'm like, fuck it, I'll try it. I haven't done this shit in a while. So, but dude, reading has been a big change for me in terms of actually sitting down and taking 20 minutes at the end of the day to, read a chapter in a book that puts me in a scenario where my mind is still growing on a day-to-day basis or week-to-week basis. So.
And there's nothing wrong with ripping through audiobooks, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, no. But people avoid reading because it is kind of hard if you've never been in that routine. Like, the biggest complaint you hear is like, dude, I read 2-3 pages and I can't even remember what I didn't really retain much. And it's like, well, it's a skill that's practiced or developed by practicing, like anything else. The more you read, the faster you're going to read, the more you're going to retain, the better at it you're going to get, and the more you're going to enjoy it. And so
1,000%.
Huge for us, dude. Just 6 months.
I'm jealous. I'll tell you right now, my wife is a bookworm, and I would say I'm average to above average. I retain everything, but I don't think I read fast. She can rip through a book in like 3 hours. I'm like, what?
20 minutes for a chapter, dude. When I said,
that's what I mean.
But sometimes, dude, I sit there and ponder like something like, damn, that happened in like 1900. That dude was smart as shit, and it's still relevant today.
It's absolutely. This
it's crazy.
This is what I find myself doing, because I read a lot of self-development, books on business, books on sales. So as I'm reading, I always have a notepad, and I'm always relating it to things that I have going on with either Sprout or my process or sales. And what happens is I go off on these tangents, right? I'm like, oh, I could do this better. Like, I feel like the mad scientist. This is all happening at like 10 o'clock at night. I'm like, shit, it's a great thing, but I'm not getting
thought leads to a thought that leads to a thought and it just like unwinds and unravels. And the next thing you know, it's like
100%.
I'm guilty of that too. So
I can relate to that for sure.
Cool, man. Cool. Well, I don't want to take too much more of your guys' time. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you guys coming on. This was awesome, even with some minor technical difficulties. So
that's an analogy for business, Brad. There's technical difficulties all the damn time. We just work around it and make it happen. So it's all good.
Listen, guys, if our listeners want to track you guys down and find you, where could they do that?
Real business owners on Instagram, Facebook, or our podcast. It's just Real Business at Real Business Owners. We started that about 9 months ago.
You guys do a real good job on that, man.
Yeah, that thing's been taking off. I think we're close to 65,000 people in 9 months since we started it. And it's been quite the fun little project, that little give back to entrepreneurs and salespeople and our life experiences and, a whole bunch of fun stuff. So if they want to connect with us, just Real Business Owners on Instagram is and we do have a YouTube and all that stuff too. So just wherever they prefer getting their information.
I love it, man. I love it. Well, thank you guys.
Absolutely. We appreciate you coming on, brother.
Follow these guys. They're fucking champions. Leave us a 5-star review. You guys know I'm going to be doing something great for you. And, that's it, guys. That was it. And cool.
That wraps up this episode. Remember, we are not here to sell anything. We're only here to help people, help entrepreneurs, help salespeople level up, get their business and finances and health to the next level. So please, we're never going to sell you anything on the show. If you got any value at all, just one little thing, all I ask is a 5-star review and that you share this episode on social media. Thank you, and continue leveling up.
So we make it.